The first segment of the Hot 7 Nightly News is brought to you by Flow.
Tonight, 2 people are dead as a result of separate road accidents. The Prime Minister-elect promises a government of inclusion and tolerance as it puts St. Lucians first. And Alan Chastney congratulates Prime Minister-elect Philip J. Pierre while indicating that the UWP will take time to heal, regroup, and keep the Flumbo flame burning. The details of these stories and more coming up.
This is the Hot 7 Nightly News with Lovelace and Amy Joseph.
Good night. It is Tuesday, the 27th of July, 2021. Welcome to the Hot 7 TV Nightly News. I'm lovely St. Amy Joseph. Thank you for joining us. In the midst of the election fever on Monday, St. Lucia recorded 2 road fatalities. One of the incidents occurred in Escape Micoud and the other in the city of Castries. More in this report.
The election season in St. Lucia has been one to watch and has included a number of road accidents that have been recorded during that period. But no one would expect that when voters were out casting their ballots on Monday, that 2 lives would be lost. A young man in his 20s lost his life, and according to the fire service spokesperson, Stacey Joseph, the incident occurred about 11 a.m.
Emergency personnel at the fire service headquarters received a call on Monday, 26th July at approximately 11:05 a.m. requesting assistance for an individual in distress on Chaussee Road in Castries. It was stated by the caller that a minibus collided with a motorcycle. The arriving responders found one male appearing in his 20s being carried to the ambulance by bystanders. A rapid assessment revealed that the patient was unresponsive and severely injured. He was fully immobilized and his wounds were bandaged. The patient was provided rapid emergency transportation to the OKEU hospital. He remained in a critical condition en route to the facility and was later pronounced dead by a medical practitioner.
The other road fatality occurred at Escape Micoud, where a 50-year-old succumbed to her injuries.
Emergency personnel found on the scene 2 individuals lying on the roadside and another being assisted out of a wrecked vehicle by bystanders. A rapid assessment of the 3 patients revealed that one female was unresponsive, a young child sustained fractures and lacerations on his body, and another female, identified as the driver, complained of pain to her leg. The unresponsive patient, who appeared to be in her 50s, was immobilized on a spine board and CPR was initiated. She was provided rapid emergency transportation to the St. Jude Hospital, where she was later pronounced dead.
The other patient's wounds were bandaged and fractures splintered. Both were immobilized and transported in a stable condition to the St. Jude's Hospital. For the Hot 7 News, Nisha Charles reporting.
Prime Minister-elect Philip J. Pierre is promising a government of inclusion and tolerance as the St. Lucia Labour Party prepares to govern St. Lucia for the next 5 years. The SLP won 13 of the 17 seats in the July 26 general election, while the UWP secured only 2 seats, with the 2 others going to independent candidates Stevenson King and Richard Frederick. Following the resounding victory Monday night, the Prime Minister-elect detailed his priorities once in office.
St. Lucians have been electing political parties for only 1 term in office since 2006, and the 2021 general election has proven to be no different. In an upset Monday night, the St. Lucia Labour Party managed to take 7 seats that were held by the United Workers' Party, while retaining all 6 of their own. This election has been of particular importance to St. Lucia, that despite not being certain of what the future holds post-COVID, St. Lucians were prepared to, in their own words, take their country back. In one of his first interviews following his victory, Pierre agreed that the country was in need of repair.
The country is burdened with over $4 billion worth of debt. But most of all, the country is divided. The country is very unsettled. The country is bitter. There's been a bitter taste that's been left in the mouths of the country. So we have to solve that.
Political commentator John Peters weighed in on the absence of continuity in government in previous years and had choice words of advice for the incoming government.
I think one of the things that many governments have failed to do is to understand the importance of continuance. And my first advice to him would be to allow some of the projects that are in train, are in progress at this point in time, mainly those that have been funded by the external agencies, to accelerate those and to allow those projects to run for the next 2 years or so. We still have funding available from the World Bank from since the Hurricane Thomas event. The Dennery Polyclinic is one. We have, I think, 2 human resource centers still to be constructed using those funds. We have the Taiwanese Road project that is ongoing. You have St. Jude's, which is something that you have to decide what you're going to do, which is a critical aspect of decision making, that you have to take a very, very early look at it and to decide how you're going to go forward with St. Jude's in terms of its completion.
Pierre outlined where his government would be focusing first.
Our first priority would be to deal with the health situation of the country, and particularly the young people, the youth economy. The youth economy was the flagship of our party, and I can assure you, very shortly, we're going to make a definitive statement on the youth economy, because we have to get our young people back on the street, we have to get our young people to feel included.
The St. Lucia Labour Party garnered over 43,000 votes to win the 2021 general elections. Nisha Charles, Hot 7 TV, Election Central.
Meanwhile, Alan Chasney took to his Facebook page on Tuesday to thank all the supporters of the United Workers' Party who stood with him and his government in the election and over the last 5 years. He informed that he had called to congratulate Prime Minister-elect Philip J. Pierre and noted the privilege to have served as Prime Minister. He indicated that he is proud of the slate that the UWP team put forward during the campaign. His statement read in part, quote, "I believe that everything we have done is to put St. Lucia on the right footing to true progress, and our policies will continue to benefit St. Lucians from all walks of life. If there is one thing that remains true as you look around our island, is the work of the UWP's present in both our country's physical development and the development of our people. I know the results came as a shock to many of you. Still, I call on you pridefully to continue to hold the torch up high. We will take time to heal, regroup, and keep the Flobo flame burning. No one person can define our historic party for us. We know in our hearts the core values that have carried us through: honesty, respect, teamwork, and commitment." End quote. That statement from Alan Chasney. Chasney says he looks forward to continuing to serve the people of Micoud South. On Tuesday morning, many were shocked to see the presence of heavily armed SSU officers at the financial center and other government buildings. Our news team was informed that no one was being allowed into the buildings. Veteran journalist and political commentator Earl Bousquet has called on authorities to explain to the public why the buildings were closed when they are there to provide service to members of the public.
With the new change in government, it appears that all government buildings are closed. The Hot 17 visited the various buildings, all of which were heavily guarded by Special Services Unit officers and other security guards. Some in the public domain say it appears that with every change of administration, government buildings are secured to ensure that all checks and balances are in place. Veteran journalist and political commentator Earl Bousquet explained that he was unaware that this was a trend.
Government doesn't close. Government doesn't go on leave. Government is a permanent entity that doesn't close down between elections. In the meantime, ministries, which are government offices to provide services to the public, ought to remain open as per usual between elections. And if an action has been taken to close all government offices and even put some under police guard, then it begs the question, why?
Bousquet went further, saying that such actions could and very well may raise many questions within the public domain, all of which would be well-founded.
One would hope that before people start asking whether they are engaging in destruction of documents or engaging in activity, hiding documents. It's quite easy for people to give the wrong interpretation to actions that are strange. Why would the police be guarding when there's no crime taking place? All of these questions are legitimate questions within the context that between elections, government services cannot stop.
He says even between elections and in the absence of a minister, the structure of a government ministry is one that allows for it to continue being fully functional.
The permanent secretary in every ministry is responsible for ensuring that government services continue in between elections. And therefore, even though a considerable number of permanent secretaries would have been political appointees, the fact that a ruling party has lost an election does not in any way require that a ministry or government department be closed for any reason that is not explained to the public's satisfaction. And at the risk of being accused of making allegations, the government needs to make a statement. And the only people who are the government of St. Lucia right now are the Prime Minister and the Attorney General.
Officials of the Royal St. Lucia Police Force informed Hot 7 that the officers were stationed at the various buildings to provide security until the transition of government.
You're watching the Hot 7 TV Nightly News. Stay with us. Still to come, the public reacts to the election results. The NGP leader congratulates the St. Lucia Labour Party on its election victory. And will the new government have the fiscal space to invest in growing the economy? That and more after the break.
The first segment of the Hot 7 Nightly News was brought to you by Flow.